In this video, I will show you step by step how I paid off my $50,000 Toyota minivan. I will walk you through the strategy that I used and key moments that changed the course of the payment plan. To give you a little bit of background here, this is the most expensive car that I've ever owned. I don't recommend buying something this expensive or new for that matter. Usually the cars that I buy are under $50,000. Last one, the Hyundai Elantra, I bought for $13,000 in 2020. My car payments have always been under $200 a month. Now, two factors went into buying this particular model. There was a need to size up because we have a relatively large family and because of the current market conditions. They don't make gas cars any longer. This is a hybrid model with lower gas consumption, even though it's much bigger than a sedan. Our old car needed replacement. The cost to repair was higher than the resale value, so we decided to run it to the ground, meaning drive it as much as we can to save us from making future payments. Now, if you get a good car, it should last you over 10 years. That's how long I've been driving all the cars that I owned. Now, in the meanwhile, the market had a shortage of cars, and since the Sienna hybrid was the cheapest in the minivan class, the hybrid just came out. There were no used ones on the market. So this was unfortunate as well. The cost of a used car was relatively the same as a new one. This was the end of 2020. I created a new Excel spreadsheet to show you the breakdown of every single payment that I made. Don't worry, there are not that many. So over here, we were added to a waiting list. This is when we first paid a $500 deposit to reserve the car and show that we are serious. That's when I started saving money for the down payment. I looked at the budget tracker and introduced a new line for the car payment. It was as if we had bought the car already and I was making payments for it. Now, to clarify, this was about 7 months before I actually purchased the car. I was planning for it and putting money aside as if I already had a payment to make. 6 months later, I get a call from the car dealership that a car that meets our criteria is available and ready to be picked up within 2 days. Talk about short notice. I had $10,000 saved for the car. I was not ready. I did not want a loan. So the model available was a $5,000 upgraded version compared to what we chose, which was the basic model. Now, we decided we didn't want to risk waiting for another one, mostly because we didn't know when a new one will come and we didn't feel like the old sedan was going to be reliable for much longer. So we bought the Sienna at $45,000 selling price out the door with a payment plan for 5 years. The interest rounded up was $5,000 over the life of the loan. So now we're looking at a $50,000 car. Here's the strategy that I used to pay it back. We walked away with a monthly payment of $829 and a balance due of $35,229. The daily interest was calculated at approximately $3.50 a day. There is nothing like a high monthly car payment to give you a boost of motivation to pay it off. I was in this fear and shock at the same time because I felt chained down. Being in debt, owing someone is not a comfortable feeling. This is when I knew I will do whatever it takes to pay it off ASAP. A quick side note on this, I listened to audiobooks about rich people's habits and this little tip stayed with me. They use big purchases or financial targets as motivators to figure out a plan to make it happen. You want that expensive car? Make more money. Hustle, as they say. And so I looked at this car loan the same way, as an opportunity to find solutions and get rid of it. And at this stage, you throw everything you can at it. Now let's talk about the payment plan. I was already saving $250 a week towards it, so that's where the $250 weekly payment came from. Now here's the first key moment. March is a great month for extra pay because that's when employer bonuses are paid and tax refunds if you have them. I make sure I always have them. Now, week 1, I paid a partial amount from our tax return. Week 2, I paid a partial amount from bonus that I received from work. And week 3, I paid another partial from our tax return. When you can make one-off extra payments, it's great. Everything counts. But the recurring payments that you can sustain over a longer period of time is what will make the biggest dent. I increased our bi-weekly payment by redirecting the amount from our vacation allocation. Every 2 weeks, I was paying an additional $500. Now we're looking at a stable $2,000 a month repayment plan, which would shorten the length of the repayment by half. The second key moment happened 2 months into this repayment plan. By now, I had already paid $13,000 towards the balance of the car. When I was doing research for this channel and came across the Dave Ramsey Total Money Makeover book, I listened to it in audio format during my commute, my walking, and swimming over 2 days, when it occurred to me that I should give it a try and completely free myself of this debt and all debt for that matter. This is when the shift happened. I took out $13,000 from another account set aside for investing, and I put it towards the car balance. I was now down to under $10,000 balance, and I knew if I focus all my efforts toward this one account, I can get rid of it within a couple of months. I redirected the amounts going from the investment account towards the car payment instead. In addition, I also redirected a couple of amounts going from the savings account to the car payment instead. Now, I don't recommend doing this unless you have your 6 months emergency fund built up. And here you can see how significant and quick the change is. I have vacation funds, investment funds, and saving funds all redirected towards the same goal of paying off the car. It's a quick shock to the system, so to speak, and it's not meant for a long-term strategy, but rather a short, impactful one. Now, if you borrow from another account you own, which I try to stay away from, make sure you come up with a repayment plan to divert funds back once you reach your target. The best method that has worked for me is to redirect future payments. It's easy to always rely on a savings account to fund impulse buys. There's no shortage of expenses that come up, even for big purchases. Rather, redirect future contributions so that what you have saved up doesn't get touched. Always use future money. Don't remove money within one transaction from an account that took you months and years to accumulate. And this is the breakdown of how I paid off my $50,000 car in 6 months. I hope it inspired you to push forward and get rid of your own loan. You don't have to have a car loan, as much as the general population likes to think that it's the norm. If you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them in the comment section below. Subscribe to Paycheck Powerhouse if you want to learn more strategies on how to save money, budget, and spend wisely. I'll see you in the next video here.